It wasn't until I was 15 that I thought seriously of the Faerie King again. We were in London now, had been for 6 months now, so that Mother could be closer to her doctors. This meant trading the sun-dappled glades, small brooks, and ageless mystery of the woods in the countryside for the raucous, vibrant, smoky, fog-drenched, teeming bustle of London. The dim street lanterns shone dully in the darkened, rain-slick streets, illuminating little. Vague shapes of people, horses, carriages, and other things moved like shadows out there. I pressed my face against the leaded glass, trying to see more, but not having much luck. There was activity in the street beneath me, our groom helping Faith into another carriage that would whisk her to some fashionable part of town for yet another ball, same as last night and the night before. With Henry sent off to Harrow's boarding school and Faith gone so often, it would be another night of having the house to myself. Faith's laugh drifted up from the street, and I saw her stop and say something to the groom, her hand briefly on his arm. He nodded eagerly, completely besotted with her. Everyone was. Before London, Faith and I had been inseparable, but her presentation to court and moving to London had changed all that. Now I hardly ever saw her. She was a debutante and part of London society. Now the house would be empty, with no one to talk to. Mother would be here, of course, but that wasn't much help. Neither was the loathsome Mrs. Westerly, Mother's maid. None of the servants inside were that interesting, and I wasn't often allowed outside. Father, of course, was away at sea. I heard Mother's slow footsteps pass in the hall outside my room and thought briefly of dashing out and trying to talk to her, engage her in something, anything. But the idea faded as quickly as it had come, smothered by the remembrance of 100 other failed attempts. Since Faith's introduction to court, Mother had focused all of her declining faculties on Faith's progress in society. I was only a year behind Faith, and should soon be introduced to the court and to society myself. You could always hear the capital S and italics when Mother said, society. The problem was, I didn't have knack for society, and we all knew it. Superficially, I didn't look so very different from Faith. Both of us were slender, and we both had the same pale gold hair. But while Faith simply reeked of coquettish elegance, I was too curious about everything, Mother said, and it made my face all thin and ferrety. Also, I asked too many questions. Boys don't like questions, men even less so. With my ear to the door, I waited for several minutes after I heard the footsteps pass, then stole out into the darkened hall. I had 2 places of refuge. The first was Father's study. The lock was an ornate brass monstrosity, shaped like a widespread elm that was harder to pick than any other lock in the house. But I'd had lots of practice. Once inside, I locked the door again and tugged one of the carpets to cover the bottom of the door, so I could light a candle. Then I pulled out Father's collection of maps and nautical charts. The room always smelled of leather books and Father's cigarettes. I knew I'd be safe in here. Father had been an officer in the Crimean War before leaving the service and becoming a merchant captain for the East India Trading Company. Being a sea captain meant he spent more time sailing in India and back than he did in London. But whenever I was here in his study, he didn't seem so far away. I walked to the great map on the wall and traced Father's course with my fingers. Coming back from India would be faster now with steam power and the Suez Canal, but that didn't seem to change the fact that Father was almost never home. He simply commanded more voyages than he had before. I left the wall and pulled out some of the books of maps that offered more detail. Flipping through the pages, I found England first and noticed a few with pencil marks outlining a number of the railroads, which was curious. But England and her coastline weren't as interesting to me as more foreign places. I'd already memorized most of the English coast. Now, the maps showing India, China, the Americas, these were the magical places to me. Oh, to sail to those places.